Now, can you please explain to me the incoherence with the topic?
I don't
Give
know
me
why
an
you're
argument
using,
that
like,
doesn't apply to every metaphor, ever.
calm down. Holy shit.
I'm not gonna be calm with you. I don't want to be tone policed
Let
right
me
now.
calm.
You've been
Oh my
aggressive this
god.
entire conversation.
For one thing, you first of all, just to get that out of the way, first, when I said you were not, when I, like, it was nonsense in Hunter's chat, like, it doesn't mean I hate you, by the way. Like, I don't know why
Oh
like
yeah,
there's a
you
whole
just
thing like, oh,
insulted
I came
my
in hostile because you
argument,
said
right?
it. Yeah, I insulted
Well,
your
no, I
argument,
was
not you as a
nice to you to
person.
start with, and then you started being irony poisoned. It's totally justified to be mean to you. Now, please get an argument.
Oh, you got me. So, yeah,
And
it's like,
you can just act like sarcastically you agree with me, right? It's just the
why do you
irony
want to
poison
stop at
thing
the, like, you
again.
can just, you can just go through, like, you can, like, hear
Yeah,
me
I'm
be
asking you
sarcastic
to
and
just
not
go for the
necessarily
argument.
aggressive.
Just give me the argument. Spit it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going through the thing really fast. So, I mean,
You're going really
again,
slow,
we
actually.
already
Please
went
spit
through
it out. Okay. So do you want to restate things? I'm sorry, I guess I wasn't hearing you too good.
Yeah, so I recall from the debate that you had with Hunter, you said that the best argument in favor of xenogenders was to say that we anthropomorphize things as male and female sometimes. So
Well,
therefore,
we
it makes sense
obviously do.
to,
Yep.
yeah, we do, but we don't say we are those things then. Like
Do you
we
know what a
would define
metaphor
ourselves
is?
as those things. No, explain it to me.
You don't know what a metaphor is. You have no idea.
Nope.
Never been
Nope,
in
not
English
one bit.
class? Okay. All
What's English?
right.
Come on.
If you
What is
not
it?
stop me irony poison, right? I'm just like
No,
asking you
come on.
like
No, I don't want you to
it's a
tell me
genuine
what. Just
question. Okay. So a metaphor is essentially where you make a comparison between something and another thing without directly stating comparison with something such as like. So,
cool.
for example, of a metaphor, I say something is it is a mint condition, right? It's not actually a mint condition. It wasn't just minted, right? But if I say it's a mint condition, it's just gonna mean like, oh yeah, it's a good thing, or it's in good
It's
condition.
in good condition.
Yes. Okay. If I say something is brand new, doesn't mean it came off of a brand, right? It didn't just come off of a brand. But I am saying that it's very new. Okay.
Okay.
We got that on lock?
Yes.
All right. Fantastic. So if I say I am a bear in the morning, okay?
Uh-huh.
If I say I'm a bear in the morning, is that nonsensical to you? Do you get the metaphor?
Not really, but I mean,
You
like
don't
I get the
understand
idea.
that.
You're okay. So bear in the morning. I've actually, I'll perfectly honest, not irony poisoning. I haven't heard that expression before, but I'm
Oh.
guessing it sounds like sleepy. Bear in the morning. What the fuck is that?
No, it's meant to be like grumpy, like I'm grumpy in the morning. You see
Oh, okay.
bears as grumpy. It doesn't matter if bears are actually grumpy. You just
Okay.
think bears are grumpy. Like a lot of people think bears are
Okay.
grumpy, so they say I'm a bear in the morning, right? So we do say that we're animals sometimes. We're trying to describe aspects about ourselves. We 100% do that. This isn't a foreign concept. It's something that we use all the time.
Cool. Right. We're talking about when we think of that, we're thinking of just like the attitude of an animal,
Well,
and
we're talking
that's
about an
it.
aspect of the given thing, and
A
then we're
stereotype that we
applying that
give to these
aspect of the
animals.
given thing. Well, yeah, a conceived of or some kind of commonly
Social
shared understanding of the given thing.
Sure, the social idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, how does it extend to gender?
Oh yeah, because we just have social ideas about gender with animals. It's like pretty obvious, or like other objects as well.
If it's so obvious, why does no one else understand this, and why does everyone think it's fucking crazy?
No, everybody else did understand it, right? Do you like deny the idea that like we gender cats as feline, felines
Well,
as
gender
feminine?
them. We don't say that. Therefore, we are them. Like we don't like. There's so many other aspects to animals that don't
So
relate to
here's
male or
here's the-
female.
Yeah, there's a lot of
So,
aspects of bears that don't relate to being grumpy in the morning.
but
you
when
can
we
still
say,
say I'm
but
a, no,
I'm,
hold on. You can still say I'm a bear
Mhm.
in the morning, and you understand what that means. Yes.
Sure, now I do. Now that I heard it,
Oh,
but yeah,
okay. Okay. So I can say that's not nonsensical, correct?
because again, I just said like sleepy. When I think of a bear, I'm thinking like I don't know, hibernation bear in the morning. Like I just woke up. I'm
A
thinking of like
bear in the
something
morning. Yeah, a
sleepy.
bear after they just wake up, right? Like
I'm thinking of
grumpy.
sleepy though, so that wasn't necessarily
Okay.
a got it, but
Okay. Well, I'm sorry you've not heard this expression before, right? But you understand what that means, no? That's sensical.
now yes.
Okay, that's a sensical statement. All right. Most people would understand what that means. Just because there are other aspects of a bear that don't have to do with it being grumpy when it wakes up, doesn't mean we can't use that, right?
Sure.
Okay, just because there's other aspects of concepts doesn't mean that we can't apply one of those aspects of concepts and use that to communicate a metaphor, correct?
Yeah, but in that case, it's like you're defining yourself
Okay.
as that thing.
Well, you're not defining yourself as that thing, you're using a metaphor to describe yourself.
Then what's the actual use of it? Like
To
it's
describe
completely
yourself.
redundant. It's completely redundant.
Redundant how so?
Because we already have words that everyone else understands. When I say I'm a cat gender, why would we only be thinking of the gender parts of it, the part that we socially understand as male and female? Why would we
Oh
only
yeah,
use that?
because it follows the part, you know, the gender part when you said cat gender. Yeah, that's the part that would indicate that. You know, that when you say gender, that's what communicates about the gender part of it.
But when I think of like
What's it
gender, we're thinking of
redundant?
like
Now
our
you said it was
bodies. When I think of
redundant.
like
What's
gender, we're thinking of like
redundant
how we
about it?
present. We don't present as cats.
Well,
We don't.
what you thinking of
Unless
gender?
we're actually thinking of wearing the cat suit, the collar, and whatever the fuck. Shitting
You're
in
thinking about how we
boxes.
present. Do you think that that's what we're describing when we say gender? That's exclusively
Yeah,
what we're
because when I
describing?
think of because gender is a spectrum
Okay.
between presentation and anything else, you know,
Well, no,
genitalia
it's not.
too, but-
It's not presentation and anything else, right? There are two spectrums of gender, right? You call my argument nonsensical, and then I guess we're laying out the groundwork, right, or the groundwork. When I'm saying,
I'm frowning. I'm sad.
I mean, I'm frowning with this conversation. You came in saying that Hunter was being too soft on a nonsensical argument, but it doesn't seem you understand very much
It
about
still
it.
sounds nonsensical, but yeah,
Well, yeah, it sounds nonsensical to you because you're not following, right? You don't know how metaphors work. I had to introduce them to you in this conversation. All right? So whenever we have two spectrum, we have like two spectrums when it comes to gender, all right? There's going to be the gender identity spectrum, which is going to communicate how we see ourselves, and the expression spectrum. These are different things. I can have an identity and I can have an expression that are completely not the same, right? Such as in the case of closeted trans women. Do you understand that?
Nope. Explain that.
You don't understand that. Okay.
Nope.
Do you think that somebody can present as very masculine, but have the identity of a woman? They identify as a woman.
Sure.
Okay. So there's an expression that is masculine, but an identity that is incredibly feminine to be the archetype of a woman, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you understand that?
Yeah. Huh?
All right. Fantastic. So whenever we're trying to communicate our identity, not our expression, people can see our expression. We're not trying to communicate our expression. We're clearly not doing that. And I'm trying to communicate my identity. I can use things that are similar to the qualia or the experience that I have. Whenever I think about myself in relation to gender roles, I can use that and relate it to similar qualia that we have.
Yeah, you could, but that'd be really stupid and redundant.
Why would it be stupid and redundant? You just keep saying
Because
that.
because we already have ways of like what is a cat? What does a cat have to do with like
What is
your
a cat?
gender?
Do you not know what a cat is?
No, I don't know what a cat is. I apologize. Could you explain to me what a cat is?
So you keep doing the irony poisoning thing, right?
Well, yeah,
Like,
because
you
you're
just don't have an
because you're
argument.
asking. I already gave you the argument.
you
It's
just said you
redundant.
didn't-
It's stupid. It doesn't make.
No,
why
you just
why
made
would
your
we go
claim.
with like?
You didn't give me the argument. I'm telling you the argument. Why is it redundant?
Because we already have male and female. We have words that relate specifically
Yeah, we
to
have
gender
male
and
and
presentation.
female.
We have like clothes. We have femboy. We have tomboy. We have other words that relate purely to the gender and the presentation.
Can you give
but we
me
don't
an
have
example of a
cat
word?
or deer.
Yeah, that's great that you do the fake chuckle thing, right? But when I'm
I,
asking
I'm,
you,
I'm more like being exasperated. You know.
I know you're being exasperated. It's very performative.
It wasn't a
I
laugh. I was
appreciate
just
if you didn't.
exasperated for.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So whenever it comes to describing the qualia that we have associated with a cat and how it's gendered, can you give me an example of words that would be used to describe the gender spectrum using direct language that would describe that?
So specific, like to a cat.
Yeah, the place that we place cats as far as the concept of being
Because
on
you're thinking
gender.
of like. You're thinking of like adjectives that like like sly, sassy, like we're thinking like the adjectives.
No,
we
I'm not
attribute
talking
to
about
these-
gender. Pay attention to the question you're being asked. I asked you what on the place of the spectrum that we place cats gender-wise, right? The way that we see the concept gendered, can you give me words that describe that to the specificity?
Well, I just watched Puss in Boots, and I think of like a boy cat now. So like a sly cat, a boy cat. You see?
Are you
So,
arguing to me that when we say cat, we don't have cats as like gendered feminine? Is that
do you think
the
like a
argument
cat is
now?
always like immediately whenever you see a cat in any like movie, like there's no way to like portray them as more male than feminine?
There obviously are, but we see the concept as feminine, correct? Cats are stereotypically feminine.
Generally, but not always. Therefore,
There's-
it wouldn't really
that-
work.
Yeah, and bears aren't always grumpy, but you understand that metaphor, don't you, dumb
But they
fuck?
count. But I also, like I said, when we're thinking of like that metaphor of a bear, you said like angry, but I also thought sleepy.
I
Like that's
didn't
like
say angry, I
genuinely like
said
the first thing when I
grumpy.
thought of like
yeah, I
I'm
get
bear
it.
in the
You're
morning.
dumb. You don't know what the metaphor
I've
means,
never heard
right?
the
Not
fucking
everybody is
expression,
dumb.
so I'm dumb.
Well, no,
I've
you
never
just-
heard this word. I'm bear in the morning. I'm sorry, I'm not
Yeah.
your dad. Like I don't know what does that mean.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty glad you're not my dad. I'd prefer if you didn't apologize. I wouldn't want your chance.
Oh man,
Yeah.
you got me hard. Ooh, I'm hurt.
I mean, yeah, I'd feel hurt. I'd
My
feel
cucked
offended.
son. Ooh,
even.
my cucked son. Ooh.
Okay. That was banger. So when it
It
comes
was.
to
And MASH.
okay, so when it comes to the expression, right? Just because it's not always the case that in every single piece of media a cat is feminine, we still have a conceptualization of a cat that is feminine. No,
Sure.
they're commonly
Occasionally,
understood to be
sometimes, not always.
not occasionally, sometimes. Overwhelmingly, it is the case.
But we're saying overwhelmingly, therefore it's still not always.
Yeah, it's not
When we
always
have the
the
word like
case that.
tomboy. So when you think of tomboy, tell me, what is a tomboy?
Please,
What is
okay?
a tomboy?
Follow along with me. All right, it's normally somebody
Come on,
who's.
I always got to follow you on this.
Oh yeah, because you're just incoherently rambling, right? You're asking questions.
It's not incoherent. I'm being super
No, you're pretty
you're trying to
incoherent.
tell me that this totally makes sense. You know,
Literally
really
average
broad. I might have told
speed,
Hunter
Like,
that it's
you're
super
having-
specific.
Well, yeah,
You're
it is
telling- you're
incredibly
telling-
specific. You're
you're
just like
tell-
having a
It's
schizo
not
rant, right?
specific. It's so broad
Well,
because
you
it's
just keep
so
saying
unspecific.
it's not specific. I'm actually trying to explain to you how metaphors work because you don't understand how those work. So we can't even get to the
metaphors
argument. Okay?
are just like perfect. It's not like our language that we just kind of built around. Like, oh yeah, metaphors. A bear. Oh, it's angry. I'm bear in the morning. I thought sleepy, dude. Like, come on. There's so many other attributes to animals
Okay.
that have nothing
you
to
think
do with
that-
gender and therefore don't work.
So if I say with you, okay, I'm gonna talk to you. All right, I'm gonna give you another metaphor. All right. So if I say I'm gonna stand shoulder to shoulder with somebody, okay, I'm gonna stand shoulder to shoulder with somebody. Yeah. All right. What am I describing?
You're saying that you're by their side, that you agree with them, that you're in the same place.
That I agree with them? Okay, but it's also the case if I'm staying shoulder to shoulder with someone that I'm close to them, right? You could interpret that as me saying I'm close to them. But that doesn't mean the metaphor doesn't have use, does it?
I love how these metaphors don't really work. Like maybe like for someone who doesn't understand, I've never heard. I mean, I've heard this one, but I've heard it.
You're
in other
going on like a
contexts than just-
schizo ramble, dude.
Because
you
you're trying to tell me,
understand why
like,
your
you're trying to
argument's
tell me these
stupid,
metaphors,
right?
These
You
metaphors
get it.
are
That's
so
why you're having a
good
breakdown.
for describing. Tell me, you're telling me these metaphors. They're so good. They're so specific. They explain exactly the idea I want to express. It's
Please
not so.
stop
it's
having
not
a schizo
specific.
breakdown. Answer the
I
question.
mean, you're the one
you
who's like
understand
super
that we.
hostile on this shit.
Well, no, I'm being hostile to you because you came in instead. You didn't know what a metaphor was. You were irony poisoning the entire time.
no,
It's
you
totally
said before
justified
that-
to be
you said-
hostile
you said
to
that I-
you.
you said I
You
was
were
being
in Hunter
hostile. You
Avalon's
said
chat
before I was
saying I had a
saying-
nonsensical argument.
It is,
I
because
totally
it still
justified to
is.
be
It still is.
hostile to you. Yeah, so I'm being
so
hostile
I think
back.
you're- I mean, just
When
because
you're
I think
mean
your
to people
argument
on
is
the
hostile.
internet, when you're
because
hold
I
on,
say
when you're
you're-
mean to people on the internet, they're gonna be a little bit mean back to you. That's how this works. Okay, you can't go around insulting people and expect them to be real nice to you when they talk to you. Okay, so whenever it comes to metaphors, please stop talking. Please stop talking. I'm going to talk through you. Okay? I've got you turned down on Discord. I'm going to keep talking through you. So whenever it comes to the ways that we use metaphors, just because there are other attributes about a given thing doesn't mean that the metaphor is no longer something we can use. Such as in the case of saying I stand shoulder to shoulder with somebody, you understand that that means that I'm fighting for somebody's cause, but I could be saying that to mean that I'm close to somebody, right? But the general conception, the general understanding of the metaphor remains true. You can still use it to communicate with people. Whenever it comes to cat gender, it's even more specific. It'd be like me saying I'm shoulder to shoulder position, like our positions are shoulder to shoulder to each other. It would be like saying that, right? It's very specific. Our political positions are shoulder to shoulder with each other. You would know exactly what I meant. Now, can you please explain to me the incoherence with the topic? Give me an argument that doesn't apply to every metaphor, ever.
Calm down. Holy shit.
I'm not going to be calm with you. I don't want to be tone policed right now. You've been aggressive this entire conversation.
For one thing, you first of all, just to get that out of the way, first when I said you were not when it was nonsense in Hunter's chat, like it doesn't mean I hate you, by the way. Like I don't know why.
Oh
like,
yeah,
the
you
whole
just
thing,
insulted my argument,
because you said
right?
Yeah, I insulted
Well,
your
no,
argument,
I was
not you,
nice
the
to you to
person.
start with, and then you started being irony poisoned. It's totally justified to be mean to you. Now, please get an argument.
Oh, you got me. So,
You can just act like sarcastically you agree with me, right? It's just the
why do you
irony
wanna stop
poison
at
thing
the- like,
again.
you can just you can just go through like you can like. hear
Yeah,
me
I'm
be
asking you
sarcastic
to
and
just
not
go for the
necessarily address
argument.
it.
Just give me the argument. Spit it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going through the thing really fast. So, I mean,
You're going really
again,
slow,
we
actually.
already
Please
went
spit
through-
it out.
We already went through the fact that these metaphors are very non-specific when it comes to animals. Because when we're
When
thinking
you
of an
mean
animal, we're not just
non-specific, when I say
because you're trying to say cats in media mostly are complete, like mostly, but 100%, but
Yes.
mostly because you want to ignore the fact that we don't always make.
I didn't
cats
say 100%.
females.
Can you show me a single place where I said every single cat in media is 100%
You're trying
female?
To say, you're trying to say that like this.
No,
this
you
works
just said
on
that
a-
I made that claim. Give me a clip of it. Any quote, anything ever.
Just go back in the VOD.
In the VOD, I have this
Yeah, just go
recorded.
back
I
in the
never
VOD.
said that. People can rewind it for
Oh, you got
themselves.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
dude,
rewind
I
it right
never.
now. There every single
You
time
sound
you're a female
delusional.
cat.
You sound delusional. You sound insane
You
right now.
sound psychotic. You sound like I get. We
Yeah,
want to
you're
do
having a
super,
mental
super hyperbolic
breakdown.
language.
No, you're
You want
just
to go for
literally having
super
a mental
hyperbolic
breakdown. It's not
language.
hyperbolic. I'm being
I
very
get,
specific.
I get.
You are
I get
having
it.
a
You don't have the
breakdown.
energy. I get it. You don't have the energy to be the same. I got it. So when I'm
Yeah, I don't have
talking
the
about,
energy to have a
oh my
schizophrenic
God,
breakdown every
he
2
wants
seconds
to
of
argue on the
Discord.
silliness. He wants to argue on the silliness.
You're the one who keeps insulting me. I'm asking you to get an argument. So
Why
whenever
is
you
it
say that I said that that's
I didn't know you were so
100%
sensitive.
please
Jesus.
calm
I
down.
should
No,
have
you're
known you were so sensitive.
I'm
I was
not
a
the
little, like,
sensitive one. You're the one
you're
bitching about
being very
insults
sensitive
and then
about, like,
throwing
I'm
them.
I kind of
You
toss it out
you
there
literally
kinda playfully.
complained. You cried to me a couple of seconds ago about how I was mean to you during this call, that I was hostile with you. Don't act like I'm the one bitching.
Yeah, because
Everyone
you're not
heard
letting me
you.
speak. That's the part of it, is like you're not letting me speak. Like that's
No,
the whole
I'm
thing,
responding to your argument, right? So whenever you say I said cats were 100% female in media, when did I say that?
Okay. You didn't say that. You're
Okay,
getting
so
into this
so you
idea-
just made that up, right? You just made that up?
Yeah,
That wasn't a
was being
position I ever
solely
held?
bad faith. That's why I'm like willing to be like, okay, you didn't necessarily say that, but you were.
Okay,
getting
what did
into
I
the idea
say?
that
What did I
you
say that made you
retarded.
think that I thought that cats were 100%
So you
female
had
in
a stream
media?
yesterday, which I watched a little bit
Uh-huh.
of, where you were, you were talking with your friend like, it's so retarded. How can people not understand cats are just females? Because look at all this.
No, I said they were
where they're
feminine.
majority. Hold on, why do you gotta interrupt so quickly?
Because you were misquoting me. I'm correcting you.
I'm sorry. I should have gotten the exact quote. I should have written it.
No, you
down.
should have
I
just
should
not
like,
completely
recorded it,
misconstrued the
brought clip here.
position.
I'm sorry. I should have.
I'm sorry that you have
every-
dementia. If you thought that that's what I said, you are literally experiencing the earliest case of early onset Alzheimer's known to man.
What was it that you
Okay.
were trying to say?
We
When you were
predominantly
calling all the media
see.
that had cat. Why you're so eager to talk?
Yeah, because you asked me a question. I'm responding to it. You literally just asked a question. I started responding.
Like I'm trying to like give you like more.
Okay, go for it.
Than just all I said was okay. Well, thanks for interrupting. I lose my train of thought. You're trying to say.
I didn't
that,
think
like,
there was a
cats-
train there to begin with, but like.
Oh, you got me. Okay. See,
You
that's
can't go,
like,
oh, you
go
got me
past
to
it.
every single zinger, dude.
It's not.
Sounds like a huge cope. It's like, yeah, totally, dude. Yeah, totally.
I would want you to be my dad. Like Jesus, all these like lame like teenagers.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Please finish your question.
So when we're talking, you were saying yesterday on your stream that
Uh-huh.
all these people are so retarded because they don't understand that
Yep.
cats are majority cat are female in media. How are they so stupid? And
Well-
then he's like, well, I mean, how is that a good argument when we're talking about?
Oh,
cats
because
are
it
not the whole-
obviously shows that we have a bias
Thank
towards
you for
considering
not
cats
letting me
feminine.
finish again. You're so good at
Oh,
this.
because you ask a question and then you start
And I'm
railroading
trying to be
afterwards.
like, how can you think this when? Oh, well, I think that. So I'm trying to give you like the argument.
Uh-huh.
I'm not just giving you just a chance to see. I'm trying to give you.
Oh,
the
so you're not
argument.
asking me a question. When you ask me a question, you actually don't want me to respond. Okay, go for it.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad that that's how it works. When you're asking a question, you just interrupt in the middle of it.
Well, no, you asked the question, then you started giving an argument afterwards. I want to respond to the question.
Go on, respond to the question.
All right, fantastic. So my argument is that it clearly shows that we see cats as more feminine. They're hugely disproportionately represented as being more likely to be female than dogs. Hugely disproportionate.
You done?
Yeah, it's signified by the end of the sentence.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Because like you don't seem to know when the end of a statement comes. So,
Okay.
so let's go. keep
Gotcha.
going. So when you're saying that, so how does that work? Why does that matter when it comes to gender? When we're able to, so I'm still talking. How does that matter when we're trying to say like, oh well, cats are just female. Let's ignore that there's all these other in media. Cats can also be guys. How do we justify the guy part?
Yeah, cats can be guys in media. Do you think that you're making a controversial statement?
Yes, very controversial.
Okay, so I
I'm
agree
asking
with
you
this
how it
statement.
makes
This is
sense when it
obviously
comes to your gender spectrum when they can, for cats being females on the female side of the spectrum, when they can also be guys.
because we associate them with concepts in our head of being female, and this is shown by the hugely disproportionate distribution whenever it comes to media. Just because there's one cat you can name in media that's male doesn't show that it's not disproportionately.
There's not just one.
Okay, there's plenty on net, on a
Could make one
total.
up right now, and no one would. I could make one right now. And
I
no
don't
one would
care if you can
question
make
it.
one right now. Okay,
Couldn't-
hold on.
explain that.
Actually, explain this to me.
Explain that, but explain that. Why can I do that and no one would question it?
Okay. Do you think that every single person who plays football is a man?
No.
Okay. Do you
I don't
think
think
that
football players are just men.
football is seen as a very masculine thing?
It's seen as it, yeah.
Oh, how could that be the case if not everybody who plays football is a man? Now that sounds retarded, doesn't it? That sounds really stupid. That sounds really dumb.
That's not the case, though. We don't say that every football player is a male.
Yeah, I don't see that every single person in media who's a cat is female, did I?
Yeah, but you're trying to say that because that exists.
Oh, so that's stupid. So why gave the actual counter argument?
Do you not see how you don't let me finish? Like,
No, I'm interrupting you. Yeah, it's totally justified when I interrupt you. You're an annoying dumb fuck piece of shit.
Crybaby. Holy shit.
Like, you were crying earlier in this conversation that I was being mean to you. I am being mean to you, yes, and you're being annoying.
He's so nice to a fault that he's like, when he's being nice to you, oh, I'm gonna be so nice to you, Hunter, because I want to convince you that this makes sense. It's so stupid.
Yeah, I want to convince Hunter, because Hunter's a brain. He can be convinced. You're clearly a fucking idiot, and you're post-hoc rationalizing everything.
Because he was so convinced, because he's been mind-fucked from the whole, like, oh yeah, I was a right-wing fucking whatever Nazi.
Okay, so where's your counter-argument? Give me a counter-argument, dumb fuck.
Giving you the
No, the last counter argument you gave me. Hold on, I'm gonna turn you down because I'm gonna just turn you down on my end. Okay. So the last argument you gave, I'm gonna remind you because just like with the stream, you're forgetting what I said. Okay. When it comes to the conversation we just had, you said, how could it be the case that cats are seen as feminine if there are male cats in media? Because it is hugely disproportionately the case that we have feminine cats in media. Not only do we have feminine cats in media, but we just associate them conceptually in our mind as feminine. And the feminine cats in media is a way of being shown that they're hugely disproportionately represented, okay? Is the case more so by multiple times than dogs that they are likely to be female in media. Then I brought up to you, is football seen as masculine? You said yes. I said, okay, but not everybody who plays football is a male. Because it's clearly the case that things can be coded with gender whenever it's not the case that 100% of the time, it's always going to be that gender of the person participating in it or that person being represented the character in the given subject. That's obviously true. You know that's obviously true. And this is why I have no interest in convincing you because it's clear that you're bad faith in this conversation. It's so obvious that you're retarded. Oh, yeah, you're either bad faith or retarded.
You either agree with me or you're just bad faith on this topic.
No,
like, boy,
you're
not even letting me make the argument out.
Yeah, no, I tried to let you make an argument and you just spammed nonsense.
Like I get it, you can say like 1,000 things that
I just recapped the last argument that we had 5 minutes ago.
You haven't justified your argument at all. You haven't even argued against what I just said. You're trying to say so for one thing, again, this goes back to what I said. You told Hunter that these specifications, like cat gender, is so specific. It's so good at being specific, but
yeah, it's pretty specific.
Examples where it sounds like it's so broad when we can still
what do you mean it's so broad?
A cat as a You're not even letting me say. You're like already like immediate. Like you're so wrong.
I'm sorry, I asked you a question about your position. I definitely didn't say that. I just asked you, what do you mean by broad? What's broad about it?
I literally just said the fact that we can't just define cats as female kind of.
They're not just female, but you feel a way about cats, correct?
Do you think every element of a cat is?
Please answer my question instead of asking a different question.
I've let you talk for so long. You haven't answered my question at all.
Yeah, you asked a question after I asked my question. Okay. Please answer my question.
Okay. Let's answer your question, boy.
I'm waiting.
Ask the question.
Oh, so you weren't going to answer the question. You didn't even remember it because you're just too busy talking.
I didn't hear
too busy
it because
saying
I'm
retard
trying to ask
shit.
the question at the same time that
no,
you're
weren't.
trying to ask me something. Do you
it's
not
totally
understand
fine.
how when I'm trying to talk, I'm probably
you
more
interrupted my
in what
question.
I'm asking than what you are?
It's totally fine. Yeah, I know you're way more interested in saying you're retarded shit than actually engaging with an argument. So I'm going to ask it one more time. This time, let's see if you follow along, all right?
Retarded than actually arguing the point.
I've been arguing the point this entire time. You've just been having a little bitch fit, okay?
You've been repeating shit that has nothing to do that ignores.
Can you give me one thing that I've said that ignored the element of your argument?
Do you not understand how you're completely ignoring?
Can you give me one aspect that I said or one statement I said that ignored the element of your argument?
I can't tell you how you ignore something you didn't say.
No, I just asked you. I literally just asked you for one statement that didn't respond to your argument, right? So one argument that was off the topic.
You're trying to, because I'm trying to say that
you're trying to say retarded shit. Answer my question.
You not see. Oh my god.
Answer my question.
No wonder Hunter's like the only guy you could get this shit through to. Like
I'm asking you a question.
It's actually embarrassing.
Do you think you look good right now?
Willing to listen to that shit.
I'm asking you. Do you think you look good right now when you're dodging a question so blatantly? You look like you're floundering. I know you want to convince yourself that you're doing well in this conversation. I'm asking.
Interrupt me.
Well, no, you weren't asking a question. I asked you a question, and then you went on a tangent.
Because I'm trying. Okay.
Which question do you think has been not addressed? Hold on.
You know what? Let's do it. Let's say that you did answer my question. Can you just give me that part of the argument then? Can you answer the question? Just give me that small little spoon feed me like my
I'm
fucking
very
baby
interested
here.
in hearing.
Tell me how it is that this works. That this works and that you can be cat gender and it totally only relates to females when we can. There are
it's pretty obvious.
That can relate to a male. Why did you not let me finish the statement before you start talking?
I'm sorry. You're gonna bitch about me interrupting you again?
Yeah, it's kind of. Does he think you look good when he's like, oh?
Yeah, I think I look fine in this conversation. You've been aggressive with me, and you just act like a spastic.
Everyone, when you.
I think I've looked fine in this conversation. No, I think it's fine to interrupt people whenever they're clearly going on tangents or they're clearly not addressing an argument.
I'm asking a very straightforward question.
Okay.
I'm not going any
longer
than that.
I'm going to answer the question.
I actually got the full question out right there while you were talking.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to answer the question. Are you done?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to do something you've not done throughout this entire conversation. I'm going to answer a question directly. Oh, yeah, because it's obviously the case that you feel a certain way about cats, right? You feel a certain way about how cats are gendered, the concept of cats?
No, I don't think that would be...
You don't? Do you think the majority of people do?
The majority of people? I don't know. That could be like any cultural thing that makes people think of
okay, so if I were to give you like a bunch of examples of different like euphemisms that we use within English that show that cats are gendered as more feminine, or I were to give you like data that showed that cats were disproportionately feminine in media, or if I were to give you literal TV tropes pages where they talk about the very given stereotype, you think that none of these things would raise the probability of it being the case that we see cats as more feminine?
You know, I see. You know what? I think I see it now. I see why you go with only the cat example. Because cats, the majority of cats kind of look kind of female. Not always. I've seen plenty of cats that don't look like female. But if we went into dogs, because I know you said this. Oh yeah, dogs are boys, cats are girls. We thought we were kids, right? How about that then? If we're saying dogs are more masculine, how about we go into a poodle? We say a poodle. Is that a male dog?
So can we stick on the subject? Because you're denying the idea that we
Okay, so we're gonna just...
No, I'm keeping you on topic. Okay. I'm not letting you pivot off.
We're still on topic. We're talking about fucking animals.
No, you're trying to pivot onto a different thing. You're trying to pivot to a different...
Why does that not work?
Oh yeah, because it's just clearly the case that we see dogs as a concept as being more masculine, right? Like whenever you see like a drug dealer in media, they have a pit dog.
Poodle still.
Yeah, certain breeds of dog might be seen as more feminine, right? Certain breeds of
cats.
Yeah, certain breeds, but conceptually, generally, we see them as one thing, right? Just because there could be one example.
Not really. No.
Oh, not really? So if I were to give you all of this data, all of this evidence that shows that my hypothesis is correct.
Where people make stories using animals, like, oh my god, why would that fucking matter?
Oh, because it shows that clearly there's a bias towards characterizing these things as more feminine.
But it's not. But there's it's not absolute. It's not like there's nothing that. How would this fit?
What do you mean not absolute?
Because you told
absolute
Hunter
in what?
That these.
Can you tell me one thing that I said to Hunter that was wrong?
More specific.
Yeah, you just keep popping around points, okay? Do we see cats as more feminine or masculine? Yes or no?
Say it again.
Do we see cats as more feminine or masculine? Yes or no?
We see them as more feminine.
Generally. Okay, we do see them as more feminine. So we do have a bias in them towards gender, yes?
Sure.
Okay.
A bias towards it.
Oh yeah, a bias towards that. We have a conceptualization in our head, right? We see the concept as more feminine, right?
So much less specific. If we went with
hold on. Please stop going on the tangent. Okay, I'm going down a line of questioning.
I said 5 more words, and you're like, okay, you're on the tangent, so stop right there. Like,
no, because I want to have a conversation about the actual topic. Okay, I don't want to hear you blab on about your same point.
Like Hunter was so confused talking to you.
It
was like he was so confused, like on understanding.
That's why he just reiterated my position later on Twitter, right? Was because he was confused. He was confused. That's why he fully understood my position.
Yeah, he did.
And he reiterated on Twitter? Yeah, because he was confused?
Yeah,
okay, I think that you might be the one confused.
On Twitter, where he's like, it doesn't all work, but it kind of worked. Like, it's fucking dumb.
Oh, yeah, so you saw where you, just reiterated my point on Twitter, right? Like, he perfectly understood it and reiterated it? And he was confused, he didn't understand my point?
Well, no, yeah, he understood your point.
Oh, okay, so he wasn't confused. Please stop being a fucking retard, then.
The fact he agrees with it, yeah, he was so confused in the conversation.
So when it comes to using the words... All right, so when it comes to using words to communicate, right, the gendered ways that we feel about things, I could say, I feel a certain way about cats, right? You feel a certain way about how they're gendered, right? There's a feeling associated with that, okay? Yeah, that feeling you associate with that, that's what I associate with my gender identity. That would be a coherent statement, right? That references a
No.
direct qualia, correct? A direct experience that you have.
No.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't reference an experience that you have. If I say, the way that
cats?
you feel about cats, that doesn't reference a direct experience that you have?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, if I saw a cat with a dick, then I guess.
No, not really.
Like you see them.
It
with their
wouldn't
balls,
reference an
too.
experience that you have?
An
The way you,
experience?
the way you feel about cats, the way you feel about them conceptually being gendered, you don't think that references an experience?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so that does reference an experience, correct?
Sure.
All right, fantastic. So if I were to say that experience that you feel about cats being gendered, that's how I feel about my gender identity, that would be coherent, yes?
Not really, because then when you're thinking of like
What's the
qualia there, when you're
incoherence?
thinking of gender, because you're thinking of like a qualia, you're thinking like a cat gender. Why are
What
you putting like
what's
an
incoherent
animal
about it? You said it was incoherent. Is there a contradiction within the statement?
Yeah. I think it's
Okay,
just,
what's
like,
the contradiction?
Because you're saying like a qualia, like when you think of a cat, you're thinking of you're just thinking of like you associate with just a female. Well, what
I didn't
about
say you
every other
associate with
aspect of a cat?
just
what about
female.
every other aspect of a cat that you wouldn't put with a gender?
Those wouldn't be relevant, right? In the same way that
Why?
it wouldn't be relevant the proximity that I
Why
am
not?
to you when I say sending shoulder to shoulder. I'm explaining it to you if you just shut the fuck up for a second. So whenever it comes to, for example, the ways that we say like, oh, I stand shoulder to shoulder with somebody, or this thing is brand new. Yeah, if it's brand new, it's gonna be hot, right? That's an aspect of being brand new. But whenever I say that, I'm not talking about that concept. It's totally fine. It's totally coherent. Everybody understands this. It's just how metaphors work. You're talking about a specific attribute of a given thing and then referencing that in comparison to an attribute of another given thing. You're not talking about all of the things in combination, right? Just like whenever I say I'm a bear in the morning, it doesn't mean I'm also hairy and an animal, like a fucking animal, right? That's not what I mean.
Cool.
All right, do you have any arguments whatsoever that you think you can defend?
Yeah, it's still just completely. It's like it doesn't make any sense. It's redundant. It doesn't.
Okay,
when
you
you're
say
thinking
it doesn't make
gender,
any
we're thinking-
sense.
okay,
Is
so
it
we're thinking of gender,
incoherent?
So let me make the argument. So we're thinking of gender. We're thinking of the identity. We're thinking of like how you see yourself. So when we're saying the cat gender, it doesn't make sense to just be like, oh well, I'm just talking about the female parts of a cat. Like then what? Do you not see how it doesn't make
No.
like.
I'm talking about the conceptualization of we have a cat, right? We see cats. The concept of cats is more feminine. Right?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
That's what I'm talking about. You got it.
Why don't you just say like I'm more feminine? Why don't you say I'm feminine?
Oh, because I'm feminine encapsulates half of the fucking gender spectrum.
No, it could like end like any portion of it. Yeah, it could be any portion of it. Which
Yeah,
might be
that's
those
half
words
the gender
that
spectrum.
actually are specific to it. What part?
Yeah,
of
we
cat,
could
like,
use things that are
tell me,
specific to it,
so
like
if
the
that's case,
reference to the qualia, right?
Can you quantify how female a cat is? How
No,
female,
that's the
where
use of
is
the
it on-
metaphor. I could tell you, if you were to ask me, what is something that is as feminine as a cat, I could tell you a cat. That's as feminine as a cat is. Right? But if I were to ask you, hold on, calm down. If I were to ask you, can you name me something that's 44% feminine? What would you say?
I'd say like a tomboy.
A tomboy is 44% feminine.
Yeah.
Okay, can you name me something that's 70% feminine?
Yeah, I'd say like a woman. It's kinda like a
Okay.
woman.
So women are only 70% feminine.
Yeah, just about.
You think that that's where they fall in the gender spectrum?
Yeah, just about.
Okay. So what do you think the end of this gender spectrum is? At 100, what's the archetype of femininity? What do we call that?
Female. Just a fucking naked woman. Just a fucking naked ass woman.
Oh, so a woman is that 100%. So you have no idea. You're just spitballing off things that are
Absolutely.
feminine.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Okay,
So where
so
exactly-
we're
so can you give me
clearly
any
this is the
concept
case
of
that
this?
my
Can
communication
you
of
tell
this
me-
is more useful than your communication.
It is
Because
not,
whenever I ask
because
you
can't-
to
can't
reference
tell me what's on the
objects,
spectrum, cat fits on that spectrum.
Oh,
Can
it
you
fits
give
in a
me a
feminine-
percentage right now where cat
no,
goes
because human
on the
beings don't think in
spectrum?
percentages. Can you give me a percentage of how angry you are in this conversation right now?
100. Absolutely
Okay.
fucking infuriated. Ooh,
Okay.
I'm so mad.
No, I'm
Ooh,
actually asking.
ooh,
I'm actually asking.
ooh,
Okay,
my
can
God,
you tell
I'm
me?
so mad.
Please stop having a
So-
spastic breakdown. It doesn't make you look good. I assure you.
Oh,
So whenever I
I'm
ask you,
mad?
like,
Mad?
if
I'm
I,
mad?
well, no, I didn't ask, are you mad? I said, could you give me a percentage of how frustrated you are in the
Right.
conversation
Oh,
right
right.
now?
I forgot that you're being more specific there. I guess just it's so much more specific. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I'm just making a point, right? Like, you couldn't tell me that. You could just feel that, right? You feel how mad you are. You don't see
Yeah,
percentage
you feel
points.
It. I feel it. That's true. I feel it. And when I think of
Yeah,
I
if
think
you're
of cat
mad,
gender,
you
I feel it like nowhere, and
Okay.
it's not even specific.
Okay. Whenever you have emotions, right? Okay, that's great. Please stop having the spastic breakdown. Right? I know you keep telling me you're not frustrated, but you keep like ranting. Well, no, I do have an argument, right? I'm trying to get to the argument. Okay? Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. If you just stop talking for a second, okay? That's what I'm getting to. Okay? This is you not being mad, right? You're not upset? Okay. Just making sure, because you kind of sound upset. I'm just making sure you're not upset still, all right? I'm just checking in on you, all right? So when it comes to the ways that we have emotions or the ways that we have experience, we don't see those in percentages. You don't see that in a percentage. Whenever I say how happy I am, I don't say I am 88% happy. I say I'm jumping for joy right now, because the metaphors are much better at communicating experiences than percentage points are going to be. If you ask me what percentage point is it, I wouldn't be able to tell you, because I don't think in percentage points. I can't open up my brain and see a percentage point. That's the same reason that you, whenever I ask you questions like what's 70% feminine, and you answered me something like a woman, which would obviously just be the archetype of femininity, right? That's clearly not what we're talking about whenever we say 70% feminine. That doesn't mean anything to you. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean shit.
It means something to me. It's kind of like but I mean, other people would also understand it that way. Like when you say like, oh, it's like a woman, you're thinking like, oh, they're wearing like kind of a dress. Like how feminine is that dress?
Yeah, the archetype of femininity, right? That would be a woman. That's the archetype.
Yeah, when we're getting like tomboy, we're getting like 50% female, but like, that's just like, or maybe even.
You think that, okay, so I actually have a question, okay? Do you think that more so or less so this would communicate to somebody? I am as feminine as a tomboy is. Or saying I am 50% feminine. Which one do you think is going to communicate more to people?
I'd say tomboy, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
But people are gonna.
It's almost like people don't think in percentages, right?
But people are gonna have their own like percentage when it comes to that, because it's still not a specific idea.
Okay, so that communicates more than percentages, right?
A little bit. It still kind of has.
All right, so
it still has
using concepts.
Some people haven't. It's like real. So okay, so hey, I got a question for you. How gay is it to suck your own dick?
Probably pretty gay.
Pretty gay, not really gay,
not really gay. No,
okay.
I don't think
so. What if
you're like
it's kinda, it's.
Yeah, it's not really gay. It's like it's like gay to suck like a trans woman's dick.
How much is really? I don't know. It's actually really tough to say. Do you think it's like, so when you say, so do you think when we're talking about English, do you think we don't attribute like any percentage to when you say really, or it's very, or do you think there's no percentage? It's kinda. Do you think
there probably is a percentage, but that's the reason.
There is. There absolutely, like, there totally is. Everyone understands that too. When you say something is kinda, you're kind of going like 50-50 there.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, but we don't say I'm 50% gay. Right? You say I'm kind of gay.
You could. Yeah, that's being bisexual. When you say that, you're saying, oh yeah, you're bisexual. And that's a word that everyone understands and is very specific.
Yeah, you're right. That would be a specific word, right? You use the specific word to reference a specific bit of qualia. You wouldn't say a percentage point, right?
People imagine the percentage point, though.
Yeah, some people can, right? You can try to conceptualize percentage points, right? But if I were to ask you how masculine is football, right? You're probably going to get percentage points that are pretty varied amongst people, right? We probably have a pretty similar understanding of what football is, right?
Yeah. Are we talking about like what, Latin football or American football?
I'm talking about American football, okay?
Ew. Okay, go on.
You probably have a pretty similar understanding of how masculine it is, how masculine it's coded in media, right?
Sure.
Okay, but you're going to get different percentage points, pretty wildly different percentage points if I go out and I survey people about that, right?
About football?
How masculine it is. If I ask them for a percentage point, I'm going to get pretty
varied. It wouldn't be too wild.
Right?
No, I'd say that
it'd be pretty varied. It'd be more varied than asking them,
really?
Is it the case that football is as masculine as football?
Volleyball. Volleyball, you're thinking absolutely women.
That's great. I really don't care.
But then why not? That is like
a random thing to say. It's just very random.
It's not random. Are you really telling me that when people say volleyball, they're not thinking of women playing it?
Well, no, I didn't say that that's not the case. I said it was random.
How's it random? We're talking about sports,
we're not talking
and you're trying to say that.
No, I'm talking about football. Right? I'm not talking about sports broadly. We're not having a sports conversation. All right. What I'm asking you is that would be more varied than asking somebody, is football as masculine as football? Right? That'd be more varied. People would be able to say yes. It references a very specific point of qualia, right?
Sure,
Because the
sure.
difference between my communication and your communication is your communication is abstract and then it's applied. I'm referencing a direct piece of qualia. That's the difference.
So if that Puss in Boots movie was like really really popular and everyone was like, oh yeah, when I think of a cat now I think of Pussy, whatever his name is. I haven't seen that movie actually. So if that happens, like
If
culturally
people,
we just moved to saying like, oh yeah, cats, boy cat, Puss in Boots.
yes, if
What
cats
then?
were seen as more masculine, cats would be seen as more masculine. The metaphor wouldn't work. No shit.
So how specific is this if it can just change on a dime that easy?
Well, it
Just
can't
because
change on a
society is
dime
like,
that easy. Societal concepts aren't changed by the idea that Puss in
if on
Boots
this
is good.
hypothetical, do you
Well,
really think
yeah.
that we can't like
Yeah, you said it
that
was
wouldn't be able to
easy,
change
though.
that
That's
quick
like
though?
saying, oh, yeah, what if the world
It
ended?
could be. Are you
Would the
really trying to say?
metaphor not work if the world ended? And I would be like, yes, the metaphor wouldn't work if the world ended. It's like, oh, if the metaphor can change that
We're not
easy
even
as the
on
world
that. We're not
ending.
on that level. First off, like we're not on that level though. I literally am talking about like,
If it
well,
was the case
if
that people...
culturally we started to move to where men are just act this, now we can say like, oh, well, it's kind of a cat. Like we have like media where cats are more masculine. Like, are we like now this doesn't work? Now
If
this
it was
isn't
the
like so
case, if it
specific.
was the case that people saw cats as more masculine, people would see cats as more masculine.
You think like we don't see like the way that we
Cats
perceive
is very
things isn't
masculine.
very easy to change, like
I
just through media.
things like how we see cats, for example. I think that's a reinforcing feedback loop. I think you'd have to have something pretty dramatic to change things, right? But like you could also ask me like, what if standing shoulder to shoulder with somebody didn't mean like you were in alliance with somebody, right? What if it meant something else? Like let's say it's something changed in our society, and that doesn't mean what that
Yeah.
means right now, right? Like obviously the metaphor wouldn't work, but we could still use the metaphor. Are you retarded?
You know what a
That'd be
dogfight
obviously
is?
the case. Yep.
What's a dogfight?
It's a fight between two airplanes, correct?
You know that it didn't always mean that.
That's probably the case, yeah.
You realize that like before, like it was popular for aircraft battles. It just mean close quarter combat.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, so if I were to
it was
say
because
like,
of war. Because of war that changed.
yeah, that'd be really crazy, okay? But if I say if I were to
Sure, you
say,
can look on Wikipedia.
I didn't deny it, right? Whenever it comes to, all right, whenever it comes to the usage of words, right? Words can change meaning. That doesn't mean we don't stop using words, correct?
Can you
Right,
say that
like the
again?
English language. If I say that person's a cheater, cheater didn't always mean that, right? There was an original usage of the word cheater that was a place in government, right? But if I
Sure.
say that person's a cheater, that's fine, right? It's fine for me to say that word, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So just because words change meaning, the phrases change meaning, doesn't mean that we don't use words and phrases, right?
Sure. I'm just saying that how
Okay.
volatile this idea is that you say is
Okay.
very specific.
Well, yeah, the words are volatile. Welcome to English, I guess. Like,
Yeah, but
welcome
it's
to
like
language
so
ever.
volatile. Like no one thinks of like when people say tomboy or
How is it
femboy, they're like pretty
volatile?
because you're trying to say like, oh yeah, well it just works,
Can you give me an
metaphors. Even though
example?
like when it came to waking up as a bear or whatever the fuck that one was, like
That's a
I
very
thought
commonly
immediately.
used metaphor. I'm
I've
sorry that
never
you were the
heard
one
it.
who didn't
Maybe I'm
get that.
sorry if I'm not from America. So, I am from America, but my family is not, so I apologize for that. Uh,
Gotcha.
I apologize for not being American enough. I just have never heard it.
Okay. But if I were to communicate to you, right, I can still use words and phrases. I can
Uh-huh.
still use metaphors, even though they might change meaning, correct?
Mm-hmm. You could,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So it's still a valid usage of words, right?
Yeah, just very redundant and just like
Redundant, how so?
immediately gives people like a
Can you give
completely
me a
different
way of
idea.
communicating the exact qualia that is present with a cat that is more so effective than saying I'm the gender of that which you see a cat?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Oh yeah, I said, can you give me a way of communicating the qualia that is experienced, right? Whenever we think about cats, could you give me a reference to that qualia that's more specific, that is easier to say, or better communication than saying, my gender is that of the way that you see a cat?
Because the idea, a way that's easier. Like I
Yeah,
just
you
can't.
don't
I
know.
just
You have
can't
no
tell you.
fucking clue, right?
Yeah, because
it's
but not
obviously
even
the
saying
most easy way of
not even a
communicating
cat
that.
gives me any idea.
Well,
I
yeah, you
can't
don't
think
have
of
any
one that's more
ideas about
but like
anything,
cat gives me
right?
no
You've
idea.
been
So
kind of
I can't give
incoherent.
you because when someone says a cat gender, I can't think of even where on the gender spectrum I put a cat.
Yeah, because you don't think in percentages, right? You think in feelings.
I totally do.
You feel.
Like again,
Oh,
when I say
okay.
like
What
really,
percentage is a cat
when I
then?
say really or kinda or sorta, these
What
words
percentage is
have
a
percentages. They
cat?
absolutely. I
What
don't know.
percent?
I couldn't
Yeah,
tell
you
you.
have no
I
idea
mean,
because it's the
I have
feeling
not a
associated with
clue.
it.
I have
You
not a
clearly don't
clue.
think in
Maybe the Puss in
percentages.
Boots movie maybe like, oh, I think of a boy cat now. I think of this Esperado guy.
That's
I don't like
great.
it. Desperado. Like, I'm sorry, but like it does not work. I don't see
Maybe
anywhere.
I
I don't
see a
see it
movie.
all the way
Maybe
at
I
the
see
end.
the
I don't.
fucking. What do you call it? The
Puss in Boots.
fucking. What was it? There was the season movie. It was had a fucking bear and a deer, right? Maybe I see that movie,
Open
and
season.
now, yeah, open season. Maybe I see that movie, and now I think about bears as goofy. But if I say I'm a bear in the
Or
morning, you could
black.
still say that, couldn't you?
Sorry, I was again. I'm sorry. You said it again. I was busy saying.
Yeah, but if I watch open season, I could still say I'm a bear in the morning. That's still a communication, right? You still understand that. That's not
Sure,
incoherent.
to people who have heard it before, sure.
No, to most people, right? You're a very, very
I don't
small
know
minority.
I'm. I don't know. I don't know if it's a slim minority to think an ethnicity from somewhere outside of America is slim, but okay.
I'm sorry. I'm talking about people who speak English as well. Do I have to specify
I speak
that?
English. I've never heard
Okay,
this,
well,
but I
well,
mean,
people who don't speak English wouldn't understand it either,
like I don't
correct?
know about you. Like I don't hear like that many people. Like I maybe in like
I don't.
country folk. Like I'll woke up like a bear. When you say that like that expression, I think of immediately like a country folk saying that. I don't think of like someone from California. Oh, I like totally woke up like a bear today. I don't think of that person saying it. It sounds like totally
This is
based on where you come from.
this is wholly irrelevant to the point.
It totally is. You're trying to tell me that everyone who speaks English understands the expression
I
"woke
didn't
up
say
like a bear."
everyone. I said a majority of people.
I don't think even the majority. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I get to absolute. I don't think the majority. No, I've
The
never.
majority of people
I'll be
would
sure to ask
understand.
everyone at work.
Is there any
Yeah,
metaphor you think that a majority of people would understand?
um, yeah, probably. I just can't think of them right now. But I mean, I'm sure
Okay,
there
let's
are
say that
tons.
that metaphor, I
Might not
assume a
be
piece
animal
of
related.
media that's associated with that metaphor. All right.
Yeah, you know what? That would work. Yeah, because we're thinking of like media. Yeah, we're thinking of like animals, sure. But again, the top movie right now is Puss in Boots, and it's the only thing I think of when I think of a cat in media right now. Because I don't watch that much media where a cat is like I think of like a cat. Oh, that's cat's
Well,
female
I
or
don't
male.
care if you think about cats in media, right? The concept of a cat's going to be feminine coded to you. Being that we grew up in the same society, it's going to be feminine coded to you. It's pretty obviously going to be. Right? Like, you think about stereotypes, right? There's no, the crazy old dog lady isn't a thing. The crazy old dog man, rather. You think of like cats as like, oh yeah, cats are like a feminine thing, right? You said like cats have feminine features.
Sure.
That's probably influences us as well. There's probably a lot of things that influence our ways of viewing things as gendered one way or the other. My point would just be like, oh yeah, if we gender it one way or the other, you can reference a specific qualia with it, and therefore it's a valid form of communication to people.
If we say it's valid, it's like, yeah, anything can be valid if I say it enough and and I just like explain it a lot, then like I guess it could be valid
People within
eventually.
xenogender communities are gonna be able to understand that, right?
Which
People understand
which you've
xenogenders will
admitted are like
understand
a
that.
percentage of a percentage of a percentage.
Yeah,
So it's like
that's the place where it's gonna be useful, is in that percentage of a percentage of the percentage. Yep.
then why is it that they try to like expand into like trans they it seems every time I see these percentages of percentages, every time it seems like they want to I guess have stolen valor as a trans person of sorts.
Would you not say that someone who feels like a non-conforming gender is trans? Is that not going to be someone who's trans?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say so, no.
Okay. You don't think
Because
that
like if
somebody
we were
who
going
has
to
a
like
gender
if we're going like
identity
the
that is non-binary is going to be trans?
I don't know. I would
You
say
don't
like
know if non-binary people
I
are
don't know
trans?
about I don't know enough about non-binary because I still don't understand
Okay, well, you don't
the
know much
idea.
about trans
As far
issues,
as
but you're
my mind
uncomfortable
goes, it
talking
goes
about
right in
them
the
so
middle.
far, right?
Well, because I wasn't talking about that. I was saying like how much sense does it make
Yeah, you don't
to
understand much about gender.
to
Now you're talking to me about
acknowledge
gender too
I
right
get
now, right?
like why do you want to like you don't want to let me explain myself? Jesus. I'm
Because every time
trying
you
to
try
say
and
that I
explain
don't.
yourself, it
Okay,
sounds
there
really
he goes again.
stupid.
I mean,
I'm
so
sorry. Go for
I'm
it.
sorry. You know, I got it. So I'm just talking about xenogenders. I'm not going into
That's great.
non-binary. At least
What do you think
non-binary seems to
xenogenders
make.
are?
Ooh, he interrupted. what I think xenogenders are, it seems to be to identify as just a bunch of anything. It seems to have no specific delineation.
A
We're trying to
bunch of
say like you're trying.
anything. Is that? Do you think that's my position? Do you think that's
Yes,
the majority of people's
that
position? Is just it's a bunch of anything. It's literally
seems
anything
to be.
ever.
Seems to be. Like every time these people show up, it seems to be. And you could just say it's a
Do you think
vocal
that's
minority of
my
the minority of the
position?
minority of the minority.
Do
But
you think it's my position that xenogenders are a bunch of anything, whatever? Based
no,
on
I
my
remember from
chat
your,
with
I remember
Hunter.
from your argument with, and I remember you did not like defend the helicopter gender type shit.
Okay.
But I'm saying that it seems to be inseparable because that just is how like these seem to be so interconnected.
So if genders, if the way that I'm using xenogenders, if that refers to something on the gender spectrum that is not one of the binaries, do you think it would be non-binary? Maybe that'd be like the word for it.
No, I don't think that.
No, you
How would
don't
that
think that's
work?
something that isn't binary? Non-binary is a word for that.
I don't like when I'm. I
I
don't
think
even
you
like
might
when
be an
I'm
idiot.
saying. Oh, you got me. You
No, I'm
completely
not,
on me there.
yeah,
So
I mean, I'm not even.
non-binary.
I don't
There's
even have
something
to
about like
own you, right? I'm just
I
like
guess you
showing
want
you
to
what
go towards
everybody
like.
else has heard throughout this conversation, right? Like you've just repeatedly failed to be able to grasp very simple concepts. Like
It
metaphors had to be
seems
explained to
so
you
not
multiple different
simple when you
times.
have to like go through all this mental gymnastics
I
to
didn't have
make
to go
it
through any
work.
mental
You're
gymnastics. The
going
person
through
going through
so much
mental
mental
gymnastics is you.
gymnastics
You're
to make
trying to
it
argue
work.
against xenogenders,
You're
but I just
going through
point out that every single
so
argument
much
against xenogenders applies to
mental
all language and metaphors.
gymnastics to make it work. It's like, how does this make like you're trying to tell me it's not mental gymnastics to say, oh, well, all you have to do is think of a metaphor. And when you think of that metaphor, just ignore the parts of it that have to do with like characteristics and just go for the
What
gender
parts of it
part.
have to do
And
with?
take that gender
Yeah,
part
the
and put it
gender
next to
part,
gender. And
because we're
now that we put it next to gender, now we can just only think about the gender part of the animal rather than every other aspect of it, just because we put the word
yeah.
gender next to it.
Yeah, that's what specifies it, right? When we're talking about gender, we're going to be using or a metaphor that uses gender. If I'm talking about how I feel when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to use the feelings of the bear, not the physiology of the bear. Dumb fuck.
You could. I mean, we call people
Yeah, you
bears
could.
when they're
That's not
like
what we're
big gay
saying,
men.
obviously.
I mean, come on. Are you really going to tell me that right now? That doesn't work?
I'm saying that whenever people say that they're a bear in the morning, they're not referring to the fact that they have a bear's teeth.
Yeah, they aren't, but we're talking like
Oh yeah, that's obviously the case.
Totally
So please
understood
give
by
me please give me an
everyone,
argument.
quote unquote, even though we just established that, hey, if we're going like outside of your state or to another fucking country, we don't have the expression soy levantándome como un oso. We're not thinking of that type of shit.
So, can you give me any argument against xenogenders which doesn't apply to all metaphors? Just one.
One argument that doesn't apply to all metaphors. Sorry,
Yeah.
do you want me to give one example?
Yeah, literally one argument. Just which one argument?
Of what? Sorry?
An argument against xenogenders doesn't apply to all metaphors because you've just been arguing it's like all language this entire conversation. I'm just showing how every single argument you present just applies to all language.
Applies to all language. Like I don't understand. I don't know what you're asking.
Yeah, you don't understand
for.
many things. I'm asking you a question though. Okay? I'm gonna say it real slow this time.
Okay.
Damn, that's pretty crazy. So whenever it comes to, damn, even crazier. So whenever it comes to the ways that we use language, can you give me any argument that is against xenogenders that isn't against all metaphors or conversely all language?
Any arguments against force is going to be against all language? No, I guess not. No.
Okay, I think that the conversation's done then.
Really?
I mean, yeah, like I mean, unless you want to take the anti-language position while speaking English to me.
Anti-language position. Like, it's really like that's how it works. It's just like.
Yeah, if you're making arguments against language, you're taking an anti-language position. That is how it works. Yep.
It's not against language. It's like so like it's more like defensive language because you're trying to like shoot like it feels like it's just shoehorning this idea that oh yeah you can just be gender as any animal because it like fits in. So how about when we say like football gender? When we think of like being football, like we're thinking of males, right? Like how does that work?
Oh yeah, it would just work the same way that the cat gender does, right? It's just like, oh yeah, the amount that I feel. If I were to say, it's literally the same thing, just a metaphor instead of a simile. It was me saying, oh, the way that we feel about football, and how masculine it is, that's how I feel about my own gender identity. Just as coherent.
Comes up and she's like, well, we shouldn't gender these things. It seems very stereotypical and blah blah blah. And
that doesn't mean
like,
if we shouldn't gender them. This is an is claim, not an ought claim.
Huh?
Do you know about is-ought distinction?
Yes, I know. I understand the idea is ought.
Okay,
but
then you shouldn't have had a hard time comprehending that sentence. We both speak English, right? Where did I lose you?
Yeah, no, I'm just like you're trying to defend, like you're trying to say like, oh, like I care about language, but you're talking about like just shoehorning this idea into everyone's head that, oh yeah, when people say this, obviously
What am I?
they just mean that I kind of identify closely with the female cat,
Oh
I
yeah.
guess.
Okay. Please give me an argument.
I did.
No, that wasn't an argument. That was you complaining and whining and bitching and moaning. There's no argument
Oh,
there.
damn. Ooh.
Please give me the argument.
I already gave you plenty of arguments that you didn't really address.
No, I addressed all of them to the
No, not even
entirety.
one. Not even one.
Can you give me one argument where I didn't address? I'll literally just
Yeah, I
recall
mean,
my
you're trying to tell
rebuttal.
me that things are so specific. You're trying to say like it's more
Oh yeah,
specific.
it's specific because it references qualia instead of an abstract concept which you have to try and apply upon your qualia. Okay, I said that in that conversation. Can you give me an actual argument I didn't address?
Yeah, that one.
Well, I literally just showed how I addressed it. So do you have any closing statements? I'll let you get in the final word.
No, you didn't address that argument.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
I hope you kill yourself, genuinely. All right,
No.
I hope you do. That was fun.